Listen, I don't think there's a quick fix for dealing with problems that students create on social media, on apps. I just don't think there's a quick fix with it. I would say two things. One, investigate, investigate, investigate. We have to get to the bottom of the reality. There's a lot of things that happen online right now that can be staged or fake.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
I'm Dr. Darrell Floyd. I'm superintendent of schools in Enid, Oklahoma. And we have about 17 campuses and 8,000 students. We're about an hour and a half northwest of Oklahoma City.
Hi, I'm TJ Vari. I'm Assistant Superintendent of District Operations and our secondary schools in the Appoquinimink School District in Delaware. We're located in the northern part of Delaware. We're the third largest public school system with about 13,000 students. And the one tidbit is we're the fastest growing school system. I say in the region, maybe on planet Earth, we grow at about 300 to 500 students a year. It's a great problem to have.
I am Karen Cheser, the superintendent of the Durango, Colorado School District in beautiful Southwest Colorado. We have about 4,600 brick and mortar students, an additional 1,100 online across 12 different schools, plus a shared school and our own online school.
How has the prevalence of technology in the classroom impacted student learning and engagement?
I think our one-to-one initiative with technology over the last several years has enabled us to create a situation where students are able to more appropriately think critically and do real-time research and compare multiple sources at one time. And by doing that and having the access to be able to do that, then they've been able to collaborate effectively with their peers and come to what hopefully is a best case scenario solution. We all know that employers today want to hire employees that have really good communication skills, collaboration skills, critical thinking skills, and creativity skills. And I think our one-to-one technology initiatives over the last few years have been able to help us better prepare students in all those areas.
Technology in the classroom, I think what has impacted student learning and engagement the most really is the dynamic use of the learning management system. I would point at that to anybody who wants to first talk about technology and engaging students. Yeah, it's a cool tool. Yes, the curriculum resources are coming around to being online. But when the teacher uses the LMS, when done well and organized in the system, I think it helps kids to learn. It's not just a bunch of papers in my backpack and a notebook anymore, and the executive functioning skills become a problem. I mean, literally having your materials online and submitting your materials online, I think it helps students in this day and age.
So technology in the classroom has definitely impacted student engagement. I'm going to say sometimes, unfortunately, negatively, but we're going to focus on the positive. In my district here, we did not have one-to-one devices before COVID. And so it was one of those really quick, let's get out 5,000 devices all at once. Unfortunately, we didn't have the prep that comes with that, the time to really prepare teachers, prepare families. But we were able to at least have some sort of device to engage students, at least in interacting virtually with their teachers. So since then, we've learned that we have to find the perfect balance, the balance of when is it best to use technology, when is it not great to use technology. I think we've begun to find that. Part of that is hiring a new instructional tech specialist who's worked with our students, our teachers, on that sort of just-in-time integration of tools and resources, not just for instructional engagement, but also for productivity. So, how do we find the best LMS system in order to help students build their executive functioning skills, for example, be more organized, to manage projects, also for teachers to be able to do that. So we have become a Google Classroom district. We also have been focusing on maker tech. So, how do we help our students uh, really be enthused about STEM skills? So, robotics, coding, everything from Dash and Dots to Spiro bots to using Scratch, all that sort of thing. Trying to follow the ISTE standards and making sure our students are creating and producing. It's not perfect. There are always things that happen when we have students not actually using technology wisely. So that's definitely an area of concern for us. And that whole idea of digital citizenship and helping our students make wise choices.
How can school districts deal with social media issues that may originate on a social media app, but then might create a big problem on campus or for the district, whether it's that same day or Monday morning when we're back on campus?
Well, I think oftentimes, even when problems arise dealing with social media, apps, etc., it's still a situation where we as administrators have to fully investigate the situation, determine if it is going to disrupt the educational process or it has the potential to disrupt the educational process. And if it does, well, then we have to treat it as if it were on campus rather than off campus and try to mitigate the problems to the extent that we can. So even though it might be something that happens off campus, we oftentimes have to determine whether or not it's going to creep into on campus issues, which some of these social media issues do fall into that category.
Listen, I don't think there's a quick fix for dealing with problems that students create on social media, on apps. I just don't think there's a quick fix with it. I would say two things. One, investigate. We have to get to the bottom of the reality. There's a lot of things that happen online right now that can be staged, are fake. And so, kids are framing kids for things they didn't do. That's the first thing, is just investigate. I don't think you're going to get out in front in too much of it. The way to get out in front, though, is to try to find a tool. We use a Stop It app, and it's an anonymous reporting app. And I would say 9 out of 10 things that we learn that are happening on social media aren't because the adults are finding it on social media. It's because kids are reporting it, and they're not going to report it without some type of tool like Stop It. And you could link to that for folks if you need to.
Well, unfortunately, part of our life now is students' use of social media, again, not making wise choices, not being empathetic collaborators, for example, with their peers, one of our portrait or graduate skills. So we have been, first of all, trying to be preventative, trying to be proactive in working on anti-bullying types of strategies, really focusing on our portrait or graduate skills and what it means to be successful in the future. But for all of our best strategies, students still make really bad decisions. Currently, we've been using Safe to Tell quite a bit. It's an anonymous tip system that students, parents, community members actually use, where they will let us know of situations. And we have a pretty strong relationship with our law enforcement team. So sometimes we are able to figure out where these things are coming from or who are the actual posters of, whatever was on Snapchat or TikTok or something that was derogatory. But it is an issue. I mean, we see it especially after COVID. We feel like whatever happened, sometimes some students are lost their boundaries and their social skills. And, they're kind of going overboard on their sort of bullying and cyberbullying. So we haven't found that perfect strategy yet for how do you address it, besides just being very communicative with our community, our students, really trying to stress that anti-bullying status, trying to build the skills that are more positive. But it is an issue.
Can you provide some examples of maybe how some students have used their social media accounts in a positive and a productive manner that may have benefited themselves or their community?
Yeah, I'll give you an example that's really a positive one. We had a girl who was in high school, and she started a T-shirt printing business and began promoting it through social media while she was in high school. And it became so successful that when she graduated high school, then she got a physical location store of her own and continued to flourish utilizing social media. And then now she has purchased a second tanning company and now runs both of them and is highly successful and continues to use social media effectively to promote both of those businesses.
Well, I think number one, kids are cheering each other on, like in the sport area, but then also when kids are doing things and it ends up on social media, if we put it on social media, I think kids are cheering each other on, and I think that's a really good thing. They're seeing more of the positive things that the district puts out and the stuff that kids are accomplishing more than ever before because of its availability. So I think just the positivity there. But one thing that I've noticed, and it's more in higher ed, but it's coming to us in our high schools and maybe in our middle schools, is the use of tools like LinkedIn to showcase in a way that a resume and that online portfolios and things have done in the past. And so I love it when I see college kids, especially future educators, on LinkedIn showcasing the fact that they want to be in the profession and they're available for you to search for them.
Sure. So I talk about this portrait of a graduate. We've identified 6 skills and dispositions. Our entire community has identified those, including students. We invited students, all of them. During lunch, they gave input into these skills. And so we've been spending the last year really posting everywhere. When are you exemplifying these skills and dispositions? So you'll find that on, students are putting it on their Snapchat, their Instagram channels. Our schools are also doing that, putting it on Twitter, Facebook, really trying to constantly show that's what we're doing and that's what we're focusing on. We're starting a new capstone program this next year where students are curating artifacts of their portrait of graduate skills, putting those in a portfolio, and then that will go directly to their Instagram channels or other places to show that they would make a great employee because they can be confident communicators, for example. Another thing, so I can give you a specific example of a group of high school students who had a cause, and for the most part, they very positively communicated their cause through many, many social media channels. And that was they wanted to be able to carry and use Narcan in school. So, in Colorado, all of our schools have Narcan, and health staff have been, trained on how to use that. So that's been for the last year and a half. But we had a group of high school students who were impacted by a neighboring school as a student had overdosed last year. And they thought it was really important that they also be able to carry Narcan. So since about last November, they have been using social media to get the word out about this. So they would come to board meetings. On social media, they would talk about, hey, come to speak in front of the board tonight. This is what we are focused on. This is what we're trying to have happen. Sign this petition. And they were using every social media channel to get the word out about that. And we actually did have, I think, our February board meeting. There were about 100 students who came, and they were there to show their support for this. The newspaper picked it up. We had a UC Berkeley documentary team came down, picked it up. And this all ended up that last month at our board meeting, we decided to go ahead and approve this, which we're the second district in the country that we know of that's approved that. So that's all because students, came out, that we value student voice, and they did that primarily through social media. So that's a positive example. We also have students who have started a green team movement, and all 12 of our schools have green teams, and they have been using social media to really help the entire community understand, including our schools and our school staff, what we can do to conserve energy, what we can do to reduce and reuse and recycle. And we just had an event on Saturday at the park right here, Earth Day event, where there were hundreds of people. And again, the students did such a great job of using social media for good to get the word out.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.